Hello, Canada. Welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. Well, we have just a typical nothing's changed Liberal Party. They get just hammered from their sheer, ignorance, incompetence, lack of knowledge, I guess, stupidity. It's embarrassing in the House of Commons. We're also going to deal with this debt bomb. Franco Terrazino, the man himself. This record spending, this is worse than what we could have all imagined. Well, I guess not quite half of Canada imagined, because there's still those who voted Liberal. Scary times. Of course, we'll have a touch-up on the wildfires. We're going to talk a little bit about this trade deficit that's going on, this record number. It's getting out of hand. Kid falling from a high-rise, a high-speed chase. We've just got the typical Canadian chaos that this new country, new post-national state sees on an everyday basis. Let's just get started with this whole... Oh my God, our public safety minister is such a joke. This man is completely incompetent. I think his IQ is less than my shoe size. It's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Yeah.
What are the classifications of firearms?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what I can tell the member is that Bill 21 addresses a number of concerns that we've heard from all Canadians, but it is to ensure that...
If he's getting past a note right now with them, without looking at that note, what are the classifications for firearms in Canada? He's a public...
The Honourable Minister.
Restricted, non-restricted, and prohibited, Mr.
Unbelievable. Like, are you kidding me? You're the public safety minister and you have no idea about probably the largest file that you guys are dealing with, removing the rights of citizens. This is...
Mr. Speaker, this is the public safety minister. Somebody passed him a note with those classifications. Does the public safety minister not know the classifications of firearms at the committee of the whole? Yes or no?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the questions before us today involves Bill 21, and I will advise this House that...
The Honourable Member.
Classifications of firearms has nothing to do with that. We're not talking about Bill C-21. We're talking about whether something so basic as how a firearm is classified is known by the public safety minister.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the issue is about Bill 21, and our intention is to ensure that law-abiding gun owners have the ability to hold on to their guns, at the same time taking...
The Honourable Member.
What an idiot.
Gun owners, but he doesn't even know what classification would be owned by somebody or not owned by somebody. How is that possible, Mr. Speaker?
Yeah, this guy is dumber than a sack of nails. And Andrew Lawton goes to town on him here. I mean, Andrew Lawton just tears right into him.
Chair, does the minister know what an RPAL is?
Honourable Minister.
I do not.
Member.
Wow.
Does the minister know what the CFSC is?
Honourable Minister.
I do not, no.
Member.
I'll stipulate, Chair, that is the Canadian firearm safety course that all gun owners in Canada have to do to get their firearms license. Has the minister ever done the Canadian firearm safety course?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, it's my third week on the job. No, I have not.
The Honourable Member.
Does the minister know what safety classes and safety demands are expected of law-abiding Canadian gun owners?
The Honourable Minister.
This is not about law-abiding gun owners, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member.
How can the minister make that claim when he doesn't know the basic fundamentals of law-abiding gun ownership in this country, Chair? Chair, does the minister know what an RPAL is?
This is embarrassing. This is absolutely embarrassing. They don't care. They don't care. They want to strip every piece, every part of what it is to be Canadian. All of the unique identities, all of the unique little parts that make us the nation we are. They're out to complete this post-national state. They want to impoverish everybody. They want to remove our rights. And this last bill that they're putting through right now is signed, sealed, and delivered. And I'm so glad that a lot of these other independent media places, even the clickbait guys, are talking about it. I post everything below, so if you want to watch the clips, if you want to watch it in its entirety, you can see all of this. This is all on the actual government website, right? This bill that's coming out, more and more people are starting to finally wake up about it, and I'm probably going to end up breaking it down a little bit better once I can actually get the bill in its entirety and kind of break it all down. It's a hard thing to do when you're only getting little wee pieces of it here and there. You've got to go through other people's kind of work on what they're seeing from it, and even though there is parts of it available, I'm waiting to see what it is in its entirety, just to know the effects of it. But as it's standing right now, this bill, this supposed border bill, this bill is going to give them sweeping rights to. It's insane. It's insane on how bad it is. And when you've got people like this who are in charge of files that they have no idea what it even takes for people within that genre, within that classification, to do those things. And in this case, it's firearms, like the rights of firearms holders. This is crazy. The courses I had to take and I have to hold, the safety protocols, everything. You gotta be perfect, man. You can't have a criminal record. They check on you all the time. This isn't a, go in once and then you're good for life type thing. You got to renew it. And depending on the types of firearms I own, there's all different types of classifications, which makes me have to take even more courses, which takes me having to hold different, like different kinds of just support areas in which I need to have in order to have. It's just retarded. All of the different things that I've got. It's bad enough that they have to know every single thing about my personal life. Yet they force me to do the silliest things, like I have to be part of, a gun club. I have to be part of I hunt in the bush, man. There's no gun clubs in the bush. It's ridiculous. And that's all they care about, is making more and more and more laws to try and remove more and more and more of our rights. And if this is the damn minister who's in charge of that file, nothing's changed in this Liberal Party. They don't care. All they care about, do you think these people are writing these bills? These guys haven't got the capacity to tie their shoelaces. They wear slip-ons. Canada's fallen. Man, we're in bad shape. And now, I'm going to go a little bit further just to show you how, just even more stupidity. More stupidity. This is just, it's out of control how bad it's really getting.
Nose Hill.
Speaker, the Liberals promised to cap foreign study permits, which also allow people to work in Canada. But new data shows that the Liberals blew their cap out of the water by handing out a whopping 500,000 foreign study permits last year, roughly the same population as all of Halifax. Why did the Liberals bring 500,000 foreign students to Canada during a massive housing shortage and while youth in Canada can't find jobs?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for that question. Those figures are inaccurate. It's misinformation. This new government is hard at work to improve our immigration system, and the introduction of Bill C-2 Tuesday was an example of that. We are taking significant steps to preserve the integrity of our system while also upholding our humanitarian commitments, because we understand a well-managed immigration system is essential to a safer, stronger Canada.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
So I got those numbers from the minister's website. I went on the website and I read that. So, in the middle of a housing crisis,
and this is funny, right? Because we've been talking about this for weeks. And I get, of course you get, and really my YouTube, and thanks to all my subscribers, by the way, you guys are great. I get some great comments and stuff on there, and really, I don't really get very many, like the liberal, uneducated propaganda people commenting on my stuff anymore, which is kind of nice. But on other social media outlets like the TikToks and the others, I get some of these comments, and they're just like, "No, you got no proof." And when I post the links to these things, it shuts them right up. Because first, they're either too lazy to actually look at the link and check the evidence, or two, they don't like the fact that they have to prove themselves wrong in the little headspace they live in. And this is what the Liberal Party has become. Now, I was doing a poll, and I ended up I kind of shut it down because I realized that what I was dealing with, I'm still going to try and finish it off, but what I'm dealing with is such a huge difference, like. Even though the poll had a series of questions on it, and I was gunning on the idea of this, the who is the most intelligent voter is kind of what I was going at, and through a series of questions, it dawned on me that there's no real way, not that I can figure, to do a fair series of questions with this new socialist class in Canada, because they won't talk, and I can't, if I don't get answers, I can't fill that end of. So in the end, it's not a matter of, I wasn't doing necessarily a conservative NDP. I was more along the trying to chase the ideas of who were the most educated, not necessarily schooling, but actually knew bills, understood law. You can't. Most of, like 99% of the people that I talked to that were liberal, they wouldn't answer, which gives me the idea that they have no idea what they're talking about. And of the 1 or 3% of them that did talk to, they had no idea. They had no idea. Whereas the honest to God, like out of everybody I talked to, tradespersons, farmers, people who deal in the egg, livestock and egg farm, were probably the smartest voters that I talked to. They could give bills. They could tell you the number. They memorized pieces of the legislation. They knew immigration numbers. I was blown away, absolutely blown away. Not to say that some liberals didn't, but they didn't have the depth of knowledge. And I did run into a few liberal ag end of it, who ended up kind of being swing voters, but they're propagandized, and they didn't have accurate numbers. Even though they kind of had an idea and they could throw legislation out there, they didn't actually read the legislation, which tells me they were memorizing what the propaganda was telling them. They weren't actually reading the bill. So I've got all this information. I'm having a really hard time giving a proper poll to, because socialists don't answer questions. They get mad. They do what this minister is doing. This is exactly what they do. This is the ignorance of socialism. The I'm better than you, shut up even though I don't know what I'm talking about attitude. Go get him, Michelle.
She brought 500,000 people to Canada. These people compete with Canadians for jobs, require housing and healthcare. If her department's numbers aren't the real numbers, what are the real numbers?
The Honourable Minister of
This is the answers I was getting. Listen to this.
Mr. Speaker, let me give the opposite member a lesson on immigration and on numbers and on permits of visa. There's many applications and many individuals. We recognize that to balance our immigration and to balance and have a good country, we need temporary and we need permanent residents. Some applicants have multiple numbers, and so therefore I would suggest that we look into those numbers a little bit more in detail. Thank you.
They're right off of your own damn website. She has no idea what she's talking about. She's reading off a piece of paper, and when she realized the paper was wrong and didn't give her the answers, which obviously maybe she didn't even write the piece of paper. That's probably hand-fed to her by the Privy Council, the people who are actually running this government, all of the elitists behind the scenes, the corporate sponsors that are pushing for this fascist idealism. That lady hasn't got the intellectual ability to even know her file, let alone memorize what she's dealing with. If this is your job, why do you need a piece of paper? And even worse, how do you not know your own numbers? You're in the House. How do you not know your own numbers? But oh, no, this is liberal mentality. Do you see how she just comes out swinging? With zero fact. This is kind of the stuff I was dealing with on the phone. How can you literally give some type of a polling census when you're dealing with that? Without coming off as seeming like, oh, this guy's a full-fledged conservative libertarian. Well, I'm sorry, but when the people who are voting liberal have that type of competency, I mean, really? And it doesn't end there.
The honourable member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, despite the Liberals promising Canadians that they're capping immigration, here are the facts. They added over 500,000 more international students. They approved nearly 180,000 more temporary foreign workers. And now we have millions in our country with expired or expiring visas and no plan on how they'll leave. Their mismanagement has put pressure on housing, on healthcare, and jobs. So after missing their own targets to lower immigration and losing control of the system, why should Canadians believe them anymore?
Yeah, that's right.
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Mr. Speaker, international students are vital to Canada. Just go ask any of our provinces and any of our institutions. So are our temporary foreign workers. They are essential to our agricultural center, to our fishing center, to many facets of our population. Having said that, we understand in this new government that we need a balanced system. And for that reason, we...
New government. It sounds just like the old government. Full of people who have no idea what they're doing. This lady has no idea what she is doing.
We have lowered the number of permanent residents as well as temporary numbers. We understand how to balance and how to work efficiently with our system. Thank you.
That's why this government has spent more money than all its predecessors combined. And we have the lowest GDP in our history. Some of the highest suicide, unemployment, food bank, starvation, poverty, homelessness. Elbows up.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent Akiawenrak. Mr. Speaker, successful immigration is essential for the development of our country. But unfortunately, for the last 10 years, we have not had a successful immigration system. Instead, we've had an irresponsible system. And the real victims are immigrants themselves. For example, we can see that 5 million immigrants are currently dealing with expired visas. How is the government going to ensure that everything works out for them and for the country? The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we understand very well that immigration is essential for the growth of our economy and in order to strengthen our communities. Canadians want a solid, sustainable immigration system that would enable Canada and everyone who comes here to succeed. And on this side of the House, we are working hard to improve the system and make Canada stronger. The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent.
The kicker to this is that there are over 5 million people in Canada who aren't supposed to be here, who are living off of the system. They are toppling our healthcare, crushing our housing, forcing down wages. There is nothing good about 5 million people being in our country undocumented illegally. This government has allowed it to get so out of control. And media is not doing its job. Do you hear mainstream talking about this? No. 879,000 immigrants since January have came into our country. We're set to break 2 million. 2 million. And if it escalates like it is right now, because of what they're doing, the lack of any type of responsibility, that number could hit 2.5 to 3 million people. Think about that. You add that to the 5 million that shouldn't be here. You're talking, 40 some million people in Canada, our population. Hello. And you just, there's going to be 7 million people floating around, crushing the system that already can't take it. We're in self-destruct mode here. And voters don't seem to realize this. Elbows up, I guess. Suck it up, princess. Getting out of hand, getting out of control. Now, let's just talk a little bit about the debt-fueled spending spree that they're on. That is completely out of control. A banker with no budget. A banker with no budget.
The banker was supposed to be better with the numbers than the drama teacher. But you can't have any credibility on the finances if you can't even bother to put together a budget. First, the Carney government told Canadians that we weren't getting a federal budget at all this year. Now that is just completely unacceptable. It's our money. We deserve full transparency from the government. The government owes Canadians a budget. Now, the Carney government, after backlash from Canadians, says we'll get a budget, well, sometime this fall. Well, why is the government waiting so long? How bad are the books? Not to mention that our members of parliament who we elect will have to vote on massive government spending. MPs also need to know the state of the finances before they vote on the massive government spending. Now, we do not have a budget yet, but the government has released its main spending plan, formerly known as the main estimates. Now, Carney, during the election that he just ran in, said that he would rein in the massive government spending. But it looks like Carney is going to continue Trudeau's debt-fueled spending spree. So those main estimates have more than $480 billion of spending in it. That's an 8% increase over the last year. In fact, the government has nearly doubled spending since 2016, according to those main estimates. So what does that all mean for you? Well, more debt means higher taxes today, or higher taxes plus interest tomorrow, or more inflation as the central bank prints up new money out of thin air to finance Ottawa's huge deficits. It also means that your kids and your grandkids are going to be making payments on that debt for the rest of their lives. Now remember, folks, the Trudeau government doubled the debt in less than a decade, and Carney plans to continue Trudeau's debt-fueled spending spree. So here is a breakdown of Carney's budget deficits that he ran on in his own election platform. 2025, a $62 billion deficit. 2026, a $60 billion deficit. 2027, a $55 billion deficit.
Jesus.
And 2028, a $48 billion deficit. Gross. So over the next 4 years, Carney plans on adding $225 billion to the debt. So for comparison, the Trudeau government planned on increasing the debt by about $131 billion over those same years. So Carney plans on adding almost $100 billion more to the debt than even Trudeau planned. More debt also means more taxpayer dollars wasted on interest payments. So interest charges on the debt are already costing taxpayers more than $1 billion every single week. The Parliamentary Budget Officer estimates that interest charges on the debt will cost taxpayers about $70 billion by 2029. So enough is enough. Open up the books, put down the credit card, and pick up some scissors.
This is getting completely out of hand. This is just... Canada has gone so far socialist that the takers have now control government. This is crazy. Between blowing money and all of these bills just taking more rights, this is like the final takeover, people. Canada's in big trouble. This government is moving way faster than what I even thought they were going to go at. They jumped right in, both feet, full-fledged fascism. The door's wide open. This last bill they pushed through, they got a couple more that they're working on right now. This is out of control. Absolutely out of control. We're in big trouble. In the meantime, our entire country's falling apart. Let's just take a little bit of an update here with these wildfires.
An out-of-control wildfire near Flin Flon and Sheridan have now combined into one.
This fire came from Saskatchewan and is over 307,000 hectares on the Manitoba side.
It's now become the largest of the 27 wildfires currently burning in the province. The Manitoba government says progress is being made in the Northern First Nations communities thanks to favorable conditions in the past couple of days.
We have had cooler temperatures, a little bit higher humidity. Winds generally have been fairly low to moderate. We are expecting that general trend to continue.
Manitoba remains in a state of emergency. Approximately 18,000 people from over 7,100 households have registered as evacuees with the Canadian Red Cross. More than 650 firefighters have been deployed right across the province to fight these fires, including 175 firefighters from the United States and out of province. And there are more than 57 aircraft currently being used in communities battling fires. As more help comes, some are feeling left out.
It makes no sense at all.
Daryl Hedman is a retired Manitoba conservation manager with fire expertise. He says he and other retirees have offered to help in the battle, but have been ignored.
I'm told to no, we don't need you at this time, or any of the retired staff at this time. They have it under control.
The province acknowledges they have received interest from individuals like Hedman and are considering accepting help from former fire officials on a case-by-case basis. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
I think every hand on deck is a good approach. And for some reason, these governments just get worse and worse on trying to. They over mitigate. They overthink 99% of the problems, and by the time they come to an actual general consensus, shit's gone south. When the best help you can get are the people who are the experienced. That man probably has more experience in his pinky than half of the people who are running the show. This is embarrassing that they're not allowing these people to get in there and put their expertise to work. Craziness. Absolute craziness. So let's talk a little bit about this deficit.
When it comes to comparing how much merchandise was brought into Canada versus exported out last month, the difference has never been so stark, with that trade deficit growing to just over $7 billion in April, compared to just over $2 billion in March, reflecting in large part a plunge in overall exports being sent to the U.S., which tumbled nearly 16% month over month.
We're looking right at the heart of the storm of tariffs, and they showed a huge drop in our exports.
The fallout from the slew of tariffs imposed by the U.S. president on cars, steel, aluminum, and other items was just partly to blame for the drop in exports. So too was the flood of goods that poured into the U.S. ahead of the tariffs, which built up inventories. Exports of autos to the U.S. falling 23% in April, while exports of consumer goods fell 15%.
These are semi-automatic machines.
Toronto-based Ultraform Manufacturing makes components for auto parts and has seen such a drop in demand, its employees have had to switch to work sharing, for now at least avoiding layoffs.
So we definitely had a drop of almost 35% in our business.
The value of energy exports also dropped, but that was due to lower oil prices, while overall exports fell to their lowest level in 2 years. And some expect things to continue to deteriorate, with pressure mounting to reach a trade deal and companies looking for certainty.
Hopefully we can get back to an agreement that is respected by both countries, and so that companies know the rules of the game.
If there was a silver lining, it was that Canadian exports to countries outside of the U.S. did grow by about 3%, which could reflect efforts to better broaden export markets. John Vanavelli-Rouse, CTV News, Toronto.
So the deficit, this is record-breaking deficit. Elbows up, everybody. Elbows up. And then because of all of the rhetoric, the nonsense of media scaring the bejesus out of people for no reason, and creating this fake altruistic kind of Canadianism, where all of a sudden people who really didn't give a rat's butt about Canada before suddenly elbows up and I'm Canadian and we're going to buy Canadian, and they started stockpiling and then forcing themselves to, well, with the help of the stores and our government, the tariffs, the food that was cheap, and people can't afford it. They can't afford to buy a lot of the Canadian food because the cost of energies and the taxes on the food here make it more expensive for us to produce. Even though we used to have a higher quality of food, that's slowly been falling as well, because in order for the businesses to stay competitive, they have to make cuts. And usually this comes out of a lot of the quality control areas. When you're overtaxed, and the burdens of the energy needed are so high, and then you couple that with the fact that you have a forced unique market. And there's been a few really good people out there kind of comparing this whole trade thing to kind of what happened during the Wuhan bit, which is actually kind of a good analogy, because that's kind of what's going on. Is everybody got, the media got everybody so scared that they were out mass purchasing and mass pushing these products, and then all of a sudden they got these huge surpluses of them, which is why we got a false GDP rating, which I talked about on a previous episode. And now we're starting to see the fallout of this. Once these surpluses diminish and the reality kicks in that the Canadian government is the reason why your groceries are so expensive. It's the tariffs being put on them. And the kicker is it levels the playing field for Canadians, because now at least the Canadian stuff doesn't seem so expensive anymore. But Canada can't produce it for the same price anyways. So you're driving your own profitability down. It's a reverse. If all the government would have to do is give serious tax cuts, deregulate, and stop hanging off the back of this fake carbon tax crap, and remove the taxes off of energy. Energy shouldn't be taxed, period. If you need it to live, it shouldn't be taxed. It's not a luxury. It's not a luxury to heat your house in the wintertime at 70 below. It's not a luxury to cool your home when it's 100 whatever 32 degrees outside, 36 degrees outside. It's not a luxury to be able to have to get into a vehicle and drive to work. And if we had any real government, these are the things they'd be doing to tackle the tariffs, and it would drive the cost of production in Canada down, which would give us a much more competitive market. This is why Trump's winning. People, Trump's winning. Canada's down by 15 billion. The United States grew by 8 billion. Like, Canada, elbows up. And what happened to this whole, Carney's going to fight, and he's doing exactly what Poilievre said that he was going to do. It's ridiculous. Except for Poilievre wouldn't be making bills to take your rights away. He would be slashing and cutting taxes and taking the burden off of workers to get our productivity up, and for us to have a more competitive market, to be able to bring our costs of production down. Carney's the opposite. He's an investor. This is how they work. This is how they make their money. Insane. We live in a clown show. An absolute clown show. This is kind of some sad news. We're just going to move on and cover some Canadian news here across from coast to coast here. Where am I here? Correct.
A horrifying fall from a Toronto high-rise has left a child fighting for his life tonight. The young boy reportedly plunged from the 10th floor of an apartment building in the city's West End. And investigators are now trying to piece together what happened. It was just after 2 p.m. when first responders rushed to this high-rise apartment near Weston Road and Humber Boulevard. Toronto police say a 6-year-old boy fell from the 10th floor balcony. A devastating shock for neighbors who live here.
It's just really sad because there's a chance that we know this young boy, as we see a lot of kids in and around the building.
Police have cordoned off the area, including this wooded section at the side of the building, where much of the investigation is now focused. The circumstances leading to the fall are still unclear, including how the child gained access to the balcony. This witness, who did not want to appear on camera, described seeing the family moments after it happened.
At first, I saw her up on top of the hill, obviously with the rescue mission. She was crying and hysterical up there, but by the time she walked down the hill, one of the female officers was calming her down. When I spoke to her, she was pretty calm, but I'm pretty sure she was in shock.
This is a second incident involving a child falling from a high-rise in the GTA in less than a week. In North York, a 7-year-old boy fell from a 15th floor balcony of a building under construction. In Thursday's incident, emergency officials confirmed the boy is now in stable but critical condition.
Absolutely. So sad. Just so sad.
I'm standing on the banks of the Rouge River, where the SQ are now on day 3 of their search for a woman who has been missing since falling into this fast-moving water. According to police, the 29-year-old woman was on a river rafting excursion late Sunday afternoon when she fell in. Although she was wearing a helmet and life jacket, she has not been seen since.
So immediately, police were sent to that area, plus emergency services. We have to understand that the company also when it happened, try to locate her immediately.
The SQ has been using all of its search tools, including ATVs, jet skis, helicopters, and drones. Police divers are also on the scene who are familiar with this river.
For example, our divers, they're specialists in current and water, so they know what to do if the victim went downstream. They know exactly with the current where the person could be.
Rafting company Nouveau Monde did not wish to speak on camera, but say they are doing everything they can to help with the search. They say their heart is now with the friends and family of the woman who is missing, and they are offering psychological support to the family and staff who have been deeply affected by the incident. The company has temporarily suspended its operations. Nouveau Monde is well known in the area. It's been operating for 45 years and takes 20,000 clients a year onto the river and offers excursions for all levels. Police say they are in close contact with the woman's family, and they will assess at the end of today whether or not to continue the search. Denise.
Yeah, that's sad. Didn't sound like she had her life jacket on, though. Helmet and paddle, they said, so that's kind of crazy. Now, this just kind of upsets me. It's good news, it's bad news, it's a little bit of everything, but it's the fact that people just cannot live in nature, and this is just a sad thing. I'm a bush bug. I can't help it. I mean, I'm a big animal nut and environmentalist. I'm not a fake greener. I'm a real environmentalist. I believe that living within nature, to be able to cohabitate with nature is what makes gives us the perfect environment, and it's when we take that for granted and start to kind of supersede our own power over top of nature, that's where shit goes sideways. This is the liberal mentality, get out of the way, it's our way or the highway. And it's sad. Like, I'm gonna play this story out, and then I'm gonna talk a bit about it. But like it seems like it's a good thing, but really, it's everybody is just out to lunch.
The horses were the first to feel it, showing signs something else was out there.
My son has noticed nervousness in the horses for a short time, and we didn't think much of it.
But soon enough, there were tracks, and then the photos.
Came across the edge of my property and went across a road up the mountain.
The adult male grizzly that's believed to have made his way from the Powell River area was first spotted here on Texada Island on May 25th.
Because they're running out of space on the mainland and looking for places to be.
Affectionately known as Tex, the bear is said to have shown no signs of aggression. And given grizzlies are a species at risk, the community has secured funds to translocate the animal.
The cost is not an issue. We're able to do this. And what we've heard from the government is that they're going to kill this bear.
According to the BC Conservation Office Service, the bear was relocated twice last year. And while it's aware of plans to privately fund this relocation effort, it said this plan is not sanctioned by the COS or the province. The grizzly bear poses a serious threat to public safety, and the COS continues to ask residents to take precautions and avoid conflicts.
The whole world's really watching this issue. They watch BC to see how they're maintaining their animals and how the respect and the consideration they give them.
After 4 days.
Okay, so the world is watching. No, the world's paying more attention to the ostriches than they are to this bear. Now, so the people on the island, they're going to raise money. Okay, so the people on the island want it off the island. The government does what the government does. They just shoot stuff. They don't care. I mean, look at the deer problem. Rather than having hunters or the indigenous people go and harvest a huge, just a number of explosion of deer that ended up occurring because of mismanagement on the federal end, they call in Americans to come in with fully automatic weapons out of helicopters and shoot hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of deer. Well, thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands of deer. In the most inhumane practice you could possibly want. This is our government. Media, crickets. And they want to take our guns away. Right. Good gun management, that would never have happened. Good federal wildlife management, that would never have happened. But you get 10 years of enablists who have no idea about what the reality is of nature. And these people are a great, this is like a perfect example. They have a bear that keeps coming back to this island. Whose island do you think this is? It's the bear's island. It's not your island. It's the bear's island. It's the bird's island. It's the worm's island. It's the duck's island. It's the fish's island. These people have to learn to cohabitate with wildlife. The bear shows no signs of aggression. Why? Because there's no pressure. Why? Because he's the only damn bear on the island. Now, if this was 100 years ago, there was probably 4 or 5 of them on the island. But they're becoming extinct because people like this don't want them on their island. Well, we're going to protect the species. Oh, we're going to protect them. But we just don't want him here. Well, where's he going to go? Where's he going to go? And he's an older bear. Where's he going to go? You're going to pick him up and drop him in an area? You're going to change the entire pecking order, disrupt an entire ecosystem and environment because you don't want a bear living on your island? I'm sorry. Wake up, people. Now, yes, grizzlies, dangerous. They can be very dangerous. They can be vicious. Yes, they will eat you up, no doubt about it, if they're really hungry. And if you get in the way and are an idiot. It'll happen. This is nature. I've had my own experiences with bears. It happens. Now, if you're in nature, you would like to think that the government would give you the ability to protect yourself in nature. Oh, right. Socialist government. So damn the bears, damn all the wildlife, damn nature, tax the man. It's everything is the exact opposite of what we should be doing. When if people could live in coexistence with this animal, there wouldn't be an issue. This is all backwards thinking. I'm mad at every single person here. That bear isn't harming anything. You're in bear country. Learn how to bear-proof your facilities. Learn proper wildlife etiquette. Keep your areas clean and treat your environment correct, and you won't have an issue. And if you do have an issue, you don't need to shoot the bear. Warning shots work, pepper spray works, there's other diversions you can use that work. This makes no sense to me. This is what's wrong with most of Canada.
Days of trapping efforts, the Conservation Officer Service has removed its traps from the island, and while it's unclear if Tex remains on Texada, the community that's come to love him would love it even more if he'd go.
So many people have reached out to me trying proactively to save Tex, and we really want to see him being moved.
Kylie Stanton, Global News.
Yeah. These people shouldn't be on the island. Sorry. Just the facts. You got to learn to live with nature, and you got to learn to control it. I mean, we have the ability because of our intellect. That's what makes us different than wildlife. And I mean, do you choose to use your power for good or for evil, right? A good environmentalist, a good bush person, a true green lover, nature lover, wouldn't want to eliminate the species and remove it off their properties. They would want to make sure that the animal is protected, healthy, and that, of course, breeding doesn't get out of hand. That's where we step in. We step in to be able to control the environment to make sure that we keep a balance. This is where the whole firearms with Canadians really pays off. We are the guardians, the protectors of nature. And most people go, well, yeah, the guys with the guns, you're killing them. Yes, but it's done through regulation and control. It's not like every year when deer season hits, it's a free-for-all. There's management systems that are all paid for by the licenses of the gun owners. Where do you think that money comes from? You remove those guns, and now who's going to pay for that system? So now your taxes are going to go up even more. People fail to realize this. The socialist system is slowly destroying the natural system that's set up in order to keep Canada. This is really sad. So this bear is going to get shipped away, and he's going to make his way back here again, and then the government just won't say anything, and the government will end up putting him down, and people in the island will be like, oh, yay, he didn't come back, and they're not aware that there's just one less beautiful grizzly on the face of the planet. And even worse is if they do end up caging him and they move him, how many other animals in that area are going to be pressured? The entire system that animal is dropped into, the pecking order, is going to be disrupted. You do not think there's going to be loss of life there? Yeah, there darn rights there's going to be. And that is, even though man's hand may not have been the one pulling the trigger or shooting the poison, they're forcing these animals into combat, where that's why this animal is going back to this island. He's depressuring his own environment, trying to find a place for him to be where he doesn't have to live in aggression. Animals don't want to fight all the time. They're not like humans. That's where they're better than us. Animals aren't like that. Yes, they can be raw, and they can be at times what you would think barbaric in some way, but very few times do you have to do that in the animal world. They settle their pecking order and life goes on. Pressures push and pull. Nature moves naturally. Man doesn't do that. And what this island's doing and the government's doing, every single person, is wrong. They're all wrong. That's my opinion. Let me know how you think in the comments. Anyways, we're going to move on to some pretty crazy stuff. This is insane.
Police in Ottawa have charged several men in connection with a child sex exploitation investigation. Officers posed online as children to identify, locate, and arrest 36 suspects. Alice Yasson has the details.
The Ontario Provincial Police have arrested 36 people in this child predator bust, and they did so by going undercover, posing as children online.
Our officers engage in a covert capacity online with offenders, people who want to meet in real life with a kid for a sexual purpose. The general rule is wherever the kids are getting together to communicate, that's where the offenders are going to be.
It could be gaming or streaming sites with live chat features, or just social media, anywhere where children are vulnerable to being lured. The accused were arrested all over Ontario, from Ottawa to southwestern Ontario, many in the Niagara Falls area and Toronto, and one man in Abbotsford, BC.
It's tough to know how many people are out there because there's no way to measure that metric.
All the more reason, they say, that parents need to be diligent in policing their children's online activity.
Most parents would not let their kids kind of wander through downtown Toronto or any kind of major city unsupervised. But we seem quite comfortable to let our kids roam the world on the internet. And it's got some very dark corners that you can find yourself in quite quickly.
So where are these dark corners? For that, we spoke with the folks at the Canadian Centre for Child Protection.
Snapchat, Instagram, Discord, Roblox, Fortnite, there are dozens upon dozens. Wherever children are, unfortunately, there are people that are looking to offend against them also congregating. What we also frequently see is that they may move them to different platforms that are more private or more isolated.
Lane says these tech companies need to step in too, not just parents and police.
Utilize their vast resources to determine and identify which folks may be adults, which folks may be children, and then gating that, so making sure that they do not have that access to these kids.
In this latest bust, police also identified 9 young victims, and there are more out there, so this undercover investigation is ongoing. Alice Yasson, CBC News.
It's just crazy. The predators out there are crazy. Be safe there, people. Be vigilant. Look into, it's actually not that complicated. to go through the systems and find the parental locks. A lot of these systems, when you actually first get them, and this is a big thing that a lot of parents aren't aware of. So when it's your kid's birthday, and say you buy them a PS3 and whatever, an Xbox, blah, blah, blah. When you're first setting these things up, the first things that come up are the parental settings. You have to take the time, yes, to be able to go through and set them up. And the best part about it is you should, which is what I did with my kids, is use them to help teach you. I could teach them the stuff that I knew, and they would teach me the stuff that they knew. We would work together to set up the parental locks on all of these said devices. And this goes right down to phones. You don't just buy a kid a phone and throw the kid the phone. Set up the parental locks. And if you have troubles with it, you can go right into your phone providers. You can call them. They will help you set this stuff up. And nowadays, with this predator age, especially here in Canada, the chaos that's been let into Canada and just the lack of control, they're too busy taking the rights from Canadians to actually do their job. They're allowing chaos so that you are more likely to give up your rights. You need to be able to actually take a step back, look at the situation and say, am I doing this correctly? If there's a question, 9 times out of 10, the businesses that are selling these products have the services there that can help you do it. And like I said, is what I ended up doing is I ended up using my kids. My kids are great teachers for that. I mean, they're all gone from home now, but kids are the best teachers. And setting it up with them shows them a form of respect as well. It sets your precedent as being a parent, as the authority figure. You are the parent. But it also shows the kid respect because you're doing it with them and you're discussing the boundaries in which you think they're ready to cross or not ready. And that's a big thing. So be vigilant. There are some great YouTubers out there who actually deal with this stuff. Social media is incredible. And if you got any questions about a lot of these devices and computers, or you're worried about your kids, you can go online and YouTube it. It's really simple to sit down and just like I'm doing this right now and giving you the news, there's somebody out there who knows all of this software and has set up amazing programs and spent the time to create an episode of video showing parents how to do just this. And I think the media should be spending more time kind of getting this kind of knowledge out there as well and promoting this, as opposed to just the BS that they always do, the fear, hate, and division, which is really sad. And like I said, this is a sad case, but I'm sure glad that these cops are acting on it and they're busting people, because this has to be done, especially in our society today. Our country, our government is letting animals into our nation. It's bad. Look at the crime rates. They're horrible, absolutely horrible. Now, BC, this pre-sale investors, they're in a little bit of hot water with the market, and you know what? They should have known better, but guess what? They're out to make money, so they don't care.
Pre-sales have long been a win-win for both buyers and developers. A chance for buyers to score a good deal on a home that they might be able to flip later for a profit, and a chance for builders to finance their construction. But an influx of empty homes in Surrey are examples of buyers' dreams turning into nightmares. One real estate agent says she's seeing it firsthand as some of her clients are panicking with closing dates approaching.
People that have purchased in the past 2-3 years, they're the ones that are getting hit with the worst situations and not able to close due to financial reasons, interest rates, job losses.
And in some cases, the value of pre-sale units have dipped below the contract price.
It's not going to get appraised as much as what they purchased for. So now the people have to not only close with all these taxes on top, they also have to come up with the difference.
One Surrey developer is hoping a never-before-seen offer might bring hesitant buyers back to the table.
If life circumstances change, something changes and happens, we will buy back the unit at the full purchase price.
Upon completion of the tower, buyers can either sell their unit back to the developer at the price they originally purchased, minus taxes and fees, or the buyer can lease it back to the developer at a premium rental rate.
Buyers feel like the real estate proposition is very one-sided. They feel alone. They feel like they're taking on all the risk, they're taking on all the uncertainty. And for a lot of people, it could be their life savings.
Ojerudi says it's a step in the right direction, but buyers need to be sure to negotiate.
You have to really negotiate out there. There's a lot of good programs. Developers are being very creative as to throwing in a lifeline and be like, here, this is what we're offering you.
Maybe some good news for those trying to get a toe in the market, but for those trying to sell today,
they're feeling exhausted. We have been playing the therapist role for the past year or so.
Shivani Joshi, CBC News.
And just wait, this bubble's gonna burst, people. It's gonna burst. The cost of housing is just, it's insane. And there are provinces that have actually held this back just through demographics and really good leadership. And Saskatchewan is one of them. Saskatchewan, their housing, there are some like in the cities, the prices did. There was a few big ramp-ups, and there is a mild bubble there. But for the most part, all the rural communities and smaller cities they're going to laugh their way right through this, because the housing rate, even though it did go up, it sure in heck didn't skyrocket. So the bubble won't be near as bad, and for the most part, it's already starting to kind of level off. So we're going to see how that works, but. The cities like, BC in general, pretty much 90% of BC real estate is overinflated. Toronto, forget it. It's crazy out there. Montreal, kind of the same thing. The bubble's going to burst. It's going to happen. Again, it's bad leadership that gets you there. And to end this episode, this is some wild footage.
Armed robbery in progress. I saw people pointing guns from my backyard.
When we got to the street, I was pulling down the street, I was following my partner. There was 2 vehicles parked side by side. Both my partner and I activated emergency equipment, and the vehicles both decided to flee from us. In a split-second decision, it was either create intentional contact with this vehicle and prevent them from leaving, or possibly seeing a victim get taken away from the scene.
Wow. Get them, boys.
Second vehicle, I was able to stop. 3 males came out. I had 1 in custody, 2 ran north and then west.
My first initial thought process following the collision was get up and get out of the vehicle and assess any injuries. However, the suspects decided to get out of the vehicle and flee.
Car! Show me your hands now! Show me your hands!
I knew in that moment that it was exigent. It was still early in the evening. There was a very real possibility that there was maybe a family in their backyard. I was able to catch up to them on foot and effect an arrest on the first suspect.
On the ground now! Put your hands behind your back!
The second suspect decided to try and flee back through where I was standing. So it was at that point that I felt that there was no situation where I wasn't going to have to arrest both individuals at once.
4336. I got 2 in custody. If there's any available units to help me in the backyard, I could use another set of handcuffs.
Good job, officer. I salute you. Well done. And all alone. Brass kahunas, people. These people have brass kahunas. Amazing job. Just amazing job. We do have some great officers out there. And that's one of them right there. Great job. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to call that an episode. Hopefully I got everybody all filled in. Until next time, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you are, punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. You've been watching Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, Alias the Guy. Stay informed.